looks like it might just be an accident. Morning.
Hi there. Good morning.
Good morning again.
How are you? Good to see you.
Alan, the truck that's got us blocked. Yeah, the truck's supposed to be broke down.
You
They can't get it started.
They can't get the truck started?
No. So they got mechanics working on it.
Do you believe that, or?
Oh, do I believe it? Well, they tried starting it. It wouldn't run. What they said, the driver said he was coming down the hill about 3 miles an hour. He said the truck quit running and he couldn't steer it. And why he didn't stop back here if he's going that slow is beyond me. But when he gets to the bank, I can see where he's turned his wheel so he could steer before he goes into the bank. But, you know, not being a truck driver, I can't, you know.
They're trying to block the road here?
Well, I don't know if they're trying to. It's obviously it is blocked, and no doubt.
Thanks. When did it happen here?
It's just the first time about the TV here, also.
He does it all the time. It's just the first time he ever been caught. That's all.
You interrupted a meeting that I didn't even want to be at.
You want me to wait or do I just go?
Well, let's try to get another filter up here.
Won't start or what? What's the problem here exactly?
It just quit like,
What's that?
it just quit.
Are you the driver? Who's the driver? What happened?
Well, I just run out of fuel, I guess. The engine just cut out and I lost my steering. No power steering,
Bad
so
as Danny Road, though.
I managed to stay on the road.
RBG.
Not much else.
Ah.
Yeah, the 3 rigs were just lined up on the road waiting to pull this thing from.
What's that? Really silly, but would you mind talking to me?
Well, I'll talk to you. I don't think you probably use it.
No, I'm not.
All right, well, all I know is what you saw when you got here.
Good murder, good make the news. Yeah. I'm happy. What you were driving down and what happened?
No, we were driving into the ranch, arrived at the ranch about 8 o'clock this morning, and 3 of the rigs were parked beside the road on the right-hand side of the road with Rajneesh's sitting in them. The front rig, the truck that is now jackknifed, the hood was up on it, as though they had engine trouble. My understanding is that they were going down the hill 3 miles an hour and didn't make the turn, but the sheriff tells us they didn't attempt to make the turn according to the tracks.
They were just parked alongside.
Just parked, one right after the other. The truck and the jackknife leading it, the pickup in the tail.
Come on, Tommy.
Well, they just sent
fuel filter.
What had you wanted to do here today?
Well, we wanted to accomplish a number of things. First of all, to complete the job we came out on September 10th to do when we were told to leave because of trespass.
What specifically do you want to find out there?
Well, we're most concerned about the tent structures that have gone up since September 10th when we came out last. We've issued a notice of violation on those, and we wanted to get an exact count and look at the structure itself.
Tell me about the notice of violation. Give me the big picture here.
Well, they have 15 days to correct the problems. The structures are in violation as well as the use.
You say the tents are not legal, is that what you're telling me?
Yes. Right. And we have not yet been contacted by the Commune or the Investment Corporation, and they're the two that we sent notices to. We were going down today to get an exact count, if we could, of the number. We counted from our airfield as about 640. We were there. We also went down to look at some other things too. There were some permits that we had issued that, and others we had objected to, and we wanted to check those. And we wanted to look at development in the annexed areas.
What could it all mean?
This today?
No. Well, if you go down there, in effect, or when you get down there, and those tents you determine are on annexed land, what does it mean?
Well, it means we will issue citations and pursue whatever legal means we can to get them removed.
Get the tents removed?
Yes.
Let me ask you another question. Those tents are 100 miles from the nearest town, sitting on a piece of deserted desert sagebrush. What's wrong with them being there?
They're in violation of zoning laws, and we have to
out in
enforce
the middle of the
laws.
desert, in violation of zoning laws.
We have to. This is exclusive farm use zoning, and we have to enforce our laws.
A tent in the middle of the desert is in violation of zoning laws.
Well, yes, and it's more than a tent. It's just the way the laws are written. We need to enforce them equally. Well, not much longer.
All right.
Probably another 10 or 15 minutes.
When did so your car's on that side of the truck?
Yeah.
Looks like it.
Tell me, besides the tents, what other where else on the commune you're going to be looking at? You want
Well, in the
to look laundry.
well, there aren't any residential buildings.
Sorry, just give me a laundry list of what structures, particular structures are you consider at this one questionable.
Well, we've issued 47 citations on various buildings within the annexed areas, and we wanted
Namely?
to check those. And Rajneesh Mandir is one. There's a factory down toward Jefferson County, a factory building that hasn't been completed. The airport, the reception building.
All of these things may be illegal.
Yes, right.
The airport may not be legal.
The airport, we issued a conditional use permit, but the new terminal building was one that was not approved in that conditional use permit. There are ways to correct some of these violations. We just haven't been approached on those as yet.
One last question, since we still got the camera here. Make the case for me. Why, even if it's a tent that's got a roof and a zipper and a heater in it, make the case for me why that should not be allowed to sit in a piece of sagebrush in the middle of the Central Oregon desert.
Well, it's a structure being used for residential purposes, and those things need approvals, and they haven't gotten them yet.
I mean, what harm is it doing anybody?
They don't have approvals. And you could say that about anybody who'd want to build a house anywhere. What harm really is it doing? Well, you need to go through the proper procedures and get the things approved.
No matter how
It hasn't
silly it
been
may
done.
sound.
Well, it may sound silly to you, but it's not silly. It's a very serious matter.
It's a knick-knack, paddywhack. Give the frog alone.
Were you with these? Were you with
No.
it? What are you doing here?
I was coming down from the city. Rajneesh.
Afternoon, you'll come in and
What's the plan here, you guys?
we're waiting for a fuel filter right now. It's on its way up.
Pardon me?
Waiting for a fuel filter.
Why can't we just roll the truck out of the way?
You don't steer
Well,
these. You don't, engine don't run, you don't steer them.
Do you want to sit in there with 96,000 pounds behind you, brother?
So you can't just roll it out of the way, huh?
They don't, you can't steer them.
you can't steer it unless you want to roll it all the way off the edge of the cliff, and maybe that would be advisable, but I wouldn't.
Has this ever happened before?
Oh, 3 times a week.
You
in
look at the
winter.
state of the roads. I mean,
No,
it's
no.
a
Has
terrible
this ever
road.
happened before?
all
With
over
me?
the world? Yeah.
No, no. Here at the ranch, has this ever happened before?
Yeah.
Sure.
You've
We've
ditched.
got trucks quit on the road.
Have
Sure.
you ditched a truck like this in the road ever before?
Sure.
I ditched a van right here once before.
When was the last time it happened?
I don't know.
July the 6th. No, July the 4th, the last time I ditched a truck on this road.
1412 was it?
No,
Or
it must have been
how about
1875. I think my grandmother was driving actually at the time. No, she wasn't. No, it was my granddaughter.
How about the scraper?
The scraper, yeah.
That was July 9th,
Yeah.
1976.
Yeah.
Twice.
What?
Well, I think we tried dropping.
So you're really getting in the way. We're trying to take some pictures here, and you're standing in the way of this
If it
land.
doesn't slide, we get it off, and then we.
Sorry.
The tip is, what I'm seeing. If you drop the trailer right there, we're dealing with a little bit of an angle to take the contract off.
Yeah.
If we move it, if we move it at all, we're gonna deal with hundreds of that we've ever had in the fucking garage. Oh, God.
Okay.
Then
All right.
everybody's
What
all
happened,
right.
Nikki? I was on my way to city of Rajneesh. Finally, I agreed to go to city of Rajneesh with them.
Sorry, Mom.
What? Okay, who did it? What
I'm
happened?
not even dressed for this. I thought my car was going to keep me warm. What am I going to do? Good.
What's up?
What's up? I was going to city of Rajneesh. They wanted me to look at some stuff there. Good morning. Do you have to?
I have to.
All right. If you have to, I mean, I'm here. Vitsi, do you want to, Padma, do you want to check? They're checking how people are. People are okay? Safe?
Okay, let's go. Go ahead.
I heard something on the radio on the way up here, and I was going to turn back, and then they said there was bad accidents. I said I'll come and check out the people, how they're doing.
According to the deputy sheriff who investigated this was not an accident.
This is not an accident? Looks like an accident. I haven't been there yet. You just caught me right before it.
Would you agree there's more than irony involved here? The fact that Dan DeRoe is due to visit within a few minutes and one of your rigs jackknifes in the road in front of him?
I think it's wonderful. He comes to know about the condition of the road. This is about 7,000 people living here day in and day out using this road in such a pathetic situation. I mean, I saw incredible potholes all the way up here. I was worried about my car being damaged.
Sheila, he gave you the courtesy of notifying you that he was going to visit here today, and he says this is what I get.
What does he get? An innocent accident?
Sheila, was this an accident?
I don't know. I've just come here. What do you want me to do? I've just come. Let me see. Do you want to move? Let me see what it is. Yes. Can I see the accident first?
Sure.
Because then I want to see what it is.
Have you seen it?
I'm coming to
I'm
see it.
just glad Master
Well,
didn't
I
get
hear
hurt.
that Mr. Dan DeRoe says that this is what he gets for his courtesy. I don't understand it. What happened?
If the road was fixed, Master.
You know, we've had vehicles.
Had the engine cut out as quick as I could.
Oh, don't hit me with that thing. Be careful, you guys.
Well, we don't know yet. When we try and move it, it may do.
Oh, Jesus. How did you get this thing in control?
Gorilla arms.
Sheer brute strength. Sheer brute. Look at him. He's a beast.
Well, you have a day off this way. Freeze your bum off.
We did like a chance.
Well, we're hauling the county planning people down here. Yes.
What's the? Tell me about the accident.
Well, the accident is the driver said that truck engine quit, and he was going about 3 miles an hour, and for some reason he got way over here, and he said he didn't have steering. When he gets to the bank, obviously I can see where he's turning his wheels. If he's going 3 miles an hour, why he didn't stop way back here is beyond me.
So you're telling me it was no accident?
Oh, I'm not saying that. No, what I'm saying is that, I don't know why he didn't stop way back here. And if he can turn his wheels there, why couldn't he turn them here? If that's the case, I'm not, I wasn't driving the truck.
Let me ask you this. Have there ever been any accidents like this in this road before?
I couldn't tell you. I've never investigated any down here.
This is the first one you've seen like this?
Well, yeah, to me this isn't really an accident. If it's a truck failure, which he claims it is, he just drove off too far to the side, it appears. Why he wasn't on that side, I don't know. But
And they're blocking the road pretty effectively. Huh?
oh, they done an excellent job of blocking the road. Couldn't have done it any better.
What's the verdict, Sheila? What's the verdict?
Verdict is that I'm glad that the man's life is safe, and I don't give a shit about what people think about cynical approach.
Is this a joke or not? Are you joking to me?
No, I'm not joking. I'm serious. This is my few people's lives is concerned here. This is no joke. This is no joke. I mean, these people's lives are in danger, and somebody wants to make a cynical comment and judge it and abuse it. It's not right. Bitsy have a letter written that they are saying about
the bag in the truck.
I can sort of walk up and ask if they're leaving?
Yeah. Excellent. You gonna come back another day, or what's the plan here?
Oh, you know the plan?
Can you roll your window? Can you roll
He
this
doesn't have
window?
one. Sorry about that.
What's
I'm sure they'll be back, won't you? Yes, they'll be back.
another day, or what?
Yes, another day.
Okay.
Hopefully the road will be open.
Pardon me?
Hopefully the road will be open.
When you come back, huh?
Yes.
Ready? 3, 2, 1. Apparently, a court order and a 48-hour notice is not enough. The county planning director says he'll be back when the roads are clear. At Rajneeshpuram, I'm Walden Kirsch, News 8. Take it again. 3, 2, 1. Apparently, a 48-hour notice and a court order are not enough. The county planning director says he'll be back, but when the roads are clear. At Rajneeshpuram, I'm Walden Kirsch, News 8.
Could you continue your interview where you're not blocking the road,
Sure.
please? We'd like to wait.
Thank you, Sheila.
Great. It's on its way up. We didn't have one.
Three, two, one. Ma'anan Sheila says that nobody is living in those 640 tents anyway, but the county planning... 3, 2, 1. Ma'anan Sheila says that nobody is living in those 640 tents anyway, but the county planning director says he'll be back another day just to be sure. He'll come back another day. 3, 2, 1. Ma'anan Sheila says that nobody is living in those 640 tents anyway, but the county planning director says he'll come back another day just to be sure. Once more? Sure. 3, 2, 1. Ma'anan Sheila says that nobody is living in those 640 tents anyway, but the county planning director says he'll come back another day just to be sure.
We're not important. We stolen. Wait a minute, man.
Why not? Why not? Why not? Sure, why not? I gotta say something to this people. I hope I get to see. This is a beautiful place, and I may never leave here. Wild, wild, coast to coast. Everybody should come and have a good time. See how fat I'm getting? I hope everybody sees me.
Look at his stomach.
Move, boy.
Vamos a ver.
Yeah, right. I got that. Wow, look at all these good-looking girls. Well, I could stay down here forever. But too bad half of them are funny.
That's right. I'm glad. I like to talk to warm up some people that's protecting us. Well, the bum on the road, to say.
When did you come?
I came from Phoenix, Arizona. My name is Willie Walker.
And how are you liking it here?
Like fine, good people.
Good. When did you come?
About a week today.
Great. And you're having a good time?
That's right.
Good.
And it looked like we safe here any place else. We can walk the street here, no need to look in the back. Who's gonna knock you in the head? We ain't got no dope around here to start with, but we don't want none neither.
That a boy.
Arrest of the Mr. Barrett in Phoenix, Arizona, and the murder of the FBI woman who was on to the connections of this case. Now, I mentioned 2 weeks ago about the Bhagwan. I have so many articles, the Rajneesh Bhagwan or the Bhagwan Rajneesh. I turn it around to be funny. The order is the Bhagwan Shree Rajneesh. And I talked about the drug connections, the arrest of a Robert Franklin Black, very important cocaine dealer, wanted for 10 years, involved with international drug smuggling since the late 60s, had a charge in 1977 with passport fraud, 1977 cocaine smuggling in San Diego, 1984 currency smuggling, 1984 drug conspiracy. He was arrested just 3 weeks before the Bhagwan takes a powder and tries to get down to the Bahamas, where there's plenty of that coke and drug stuff, and he found two places that would let him take refuge, and one was Bermuda or the Bahamas. He wanted to be down there, and he was on his way, and he was stopped in South Carolina. Now, just when the drug connection was breaking, and it seems that the authorities knew all the while that this particular Robert Franklin Black had information that he was in and out with the Rajneesh and kept an Indian name and several other aliases. Just when that happened, Sheila took off to go to Germany. And this is a very important thing I had on the air, and I want to repeat it because of another news item that came out just this week. To replace Sheila, Big Mouth Sheila, who went off to Germany, Prem Hasha took her place. And I told you that Prem Hasha was Francois Ruddy. She's now the president of the Rajneesh Foundation, the international multi-million-dollar corporation. And I gave you her background. She was trained in the Israeli army. She was over there, then to Canada, where she then married a Mr. Glazer, who helped build Atomic Energy Commission at Oak Ridge, Tennessee. And there were 4 friends that she mentioned in the Oregonian that she was familiar with in an interview that, as the wife of Mr. Glazer, she was associated with. One was Werner von Braun, who's listed in the Torbett document as part of the Permindex operation with Walter Dornberger and Mr. Medeiros and Roy Cohn in killing John Kennedy. Hyman Rickover, who's been in the scandals recently with General Dynamics. Henry Crown and General Dynamics played a major role in the Kennedy assassination. Estes Kivauber, she knew. He was murdered because he was investigating Carlos Marcello and the drug connections with Robert Kennedy in Congress. That fell short, and after Robert Kennedy was killed and Kefauver was through, nobody ever touched the drug connections again. And then Howard Baker was another member of the Senate that she cited, and Howard Baker was the liaison to Richard Nixon at the time of Watergate to keep the lid on the murders that were taking place and the drug connections and the international death squad connections of Watergate to Richard Nixon, to keep the lid on all that. So she produced the movie, her money, a lot of it, with Mr. Ruddy, The Godfather, Francis Ford Coppola's movie, The Godfather, which is all fitting to where she is now and what's going on. But just to update her and go one step further, October the 29th, 1985, the Bhagwan was arrested down in South Carolina, and the Seattle Times ran stories. Sheila in Germany was saying that he was involved with drug abuse and drug traffic. She was citing the drug connections. And there's been talk and articles for the past 2 or 3 years on the cocaine, heroin, hashish, and marijuana of the Bhagwan, the drug traffic that supplied the money for his Rolls Royces and his operation. He was charging the Bhagwan with these things from Germany when she was arrested, and he was charging her with murder, illegal wiretapping, attempted murder, and they've been accusing each other of names. Now, a very important break in that story of the Bhagwan came this week out of the Oregonian. It's November the 7th. Bhagwan has returned to Oregon after his stopover in South Carolina and Oklahoma, where the charges were dropped for trying to flee the country. And his attorney, his top legal advisor at the Rajneesh ranch there, a man who uses the Indian name Prem Niran, he's the advisor to the Rajneesh, the current on-base attorney, married to a woman from Chile, from Pinochet's Chile, and several of the top advisors are from South Africa and Chile and Germany and Canada, an amazing combination. He was speaking for the fact that Rajneesh was back, and they hired 4 attorneys to represent these various charges of wiretapping, of attempted murder, of illegal immigration, faking his immigration papers, marriage by subterfuge to stay in the area, and possible drugging, the salmonella poisoning, and so forth. So they hired 4 attorneys now to represent the Rajneesh. The chains are off of his hands and arms. And one of them is Miles Ambrose of Washington, D.C., Ambrose, former Commissioner of Customs, according to the Oregonian, and U.S. Attorney Brian O'Neill of Los Angeles. Now, the interesting thing about Ambrose in the article in the Oregonian, they identified him as a former Commissioner of Customs. But as soon as I saw the name, I nearly went through the ceiling and went to the first book I could think of, remembering that the reason I thought the Rajneesh and Sheila fled was the drug arrest of Robert Franklin Black that tipped it off, wanted for 10 years and part of their outfit. I went to the book, The Great Heroin Coup. Many of you have it, and if you don't, you should get it. And, of course, in the index, it describes Mr. Ambrose in this way. In the early 1980s, the Justice Department is investigating allegations that Carlos Marcello had hired Mario Noto, the Deputy Commissioner of Immigration, a guaranteed plush job after his retirement in return for Noto's help in getting Marcello's travel restrictions lifted. Noto's attorney was Miles Ambrose, who stepped down from his job as the head of BNDD, that's the Bureau of Narcotics and Dangerous Drugs, in the wake of a corruption allegations. That was from the New York Times, February the 11th, 1980. Well, they didn't go into the details of that, but again, Carlos Marcello was involved in saying there is a stone in my shoe, a pebble in my shoe, Robert Kennedy put there, and those were the orders to kill Robert Kennedy. And Carlos Marcello worked with Jack Ruby and David Ferry and Clay Shaw in New Orleans. And again, the assassination team, the attorney for Marcello and Noto, turns out to be Ambrose. But then the book, The Great Hero on Cuba, just to cite one, and I can go through many books of Ambrose, but I think you can get the whole picture when you realize in this one book, Great Hero on Cuba, chapter 17, White House Hanky-Panky, when Richard Nixon wanted to set up his office regarding narcotics matters and using his Special Action Office for Drug Abuse Prevention as a special assassination team with murderers that tied to death squads down in South America that does link to Mengele and Klaus Barbie down in South America. He set up the White House plumbers team that set off the whole Watergate story in the first place, if you remember. And the White House plumbers team involved John Caulfield from New York City and Miles Ambrose, the former customs commissioner who was named head of the narcotics campaign. He would leave later the government service in disgrace. He had a lot of disgraces. He's a crook. He's been hired by the Bhagwan, which is really fitting. You know, as I always say with David Emery and I say, what goes around comes around. So this seedy operation of the Rajneesh brings in Miles Ambrose with all of his links to G. Gordon Liddy, E. Howard Hunt, and Hunt's connections to the CIA, to the trained Cuban exiles, to Santo Traficante and the Cuban Mafia, which again is heavy narcotics traffic. He set up this group with Lucian Conin of the CIA, of David Young, who was from the staff of Henry Kissinger. Always Henry Kissinger's involved. And there's one description in this book about the team that Ambrose had. The White House controlled narcotics intelligence at home and abroad. Nixon's staff sought to control and enforce it itself. They needed a strike force, for in January 72, the White House set up the Office for Drug Abuse and Law Enforcement, according to a plan conceived by G. Gordon Liddy. That was the avowed Nazi Hitler lover, in case you've forgotten, and it would be headed by Miles Ambrose, the same attorney that is now going for the Rajneesh and trying to help him with his problems. And this story tells about their record in Texas and their gun running and their narcotics traffic. And Odell, those were the initials for the agency, was so notorious for its record of illegal raids, no-knock entries into private homes, and beating of innocent people, they called it the American Gestapo. Now, that's just a few words on the background of the attorney who's going to be representing the Rajneesh. And the interesting thing, you see, is by having this woman, Francois Ruddy, and forget her Indian name that she assumes, or you can use it if you want, but coming in to the Bhagwan's operation, she's talking, has produced a movie called The Godfather. Nixon was the Godfather during the Watergate periods for sure. Martha Mitchell got a needle in her butt for saying the mafia is in the White House, and 3 years later she was dead. And in this case, the Godfather of the Rajneesh group, Ambrose, is going out to represent him. He has a big following all over the world, particularly in Germany. So what goes around comes around. She produced The Godfather once, and she brings Ambrose for The Godfather the second time. And I think her connections in Los Angeles, this is important because her connections with her ex-husband, Mr. Glazer, and that's where she pulled in her big bucks to begin with. He's one of the largest fundraisers for Ronald Reagan. I think I mentioned that before. He's the man that Reagan sees on the West Coast, along with these other, well, what should I call them? I can use some phrases, but I better clean it up. But he's important to Reagan's administration, and who else would better serve the Rajneesh with that drug arrest up in Vancouver and the following around them than to bring in Mr. Miles Ambrose with his links to death squads, to Hunt and Liddy, to Carlos Marcello. You can tell what kind of a case is developing as they hire their particular attorneys. Now, interestingly enough, we'll take a 1-minute break, and I'll do some more about the Rajneesh and go back to articles in the news this week to pertain to the people that I mentioned on program 725. It went fast, I admit it, and I took a lot of names, and I will be going over them and updating them as we go along. But we'll take a 1-minute break now. Printed sheets with bibliography, sources of information are available. You can write to me, P.O. Box 22511, Carmel 93922, or you can telephone, and I will give you information how. If you missed the first half or the first 14 years, I'll tell you how you can catch up. Now, the Oregonian had an interesting story about the governor of Oregon. His name is Vic Atiye, A-T-I-Y-E-H. He comes from the Middle East, interestingly enough, of Arab descent. And October, they asked him, what do you think about the Bhagwan's arrest in North Carolina? He was interviewed in the Oregonian about that. And he said, well, we expected it. It was just what we planned to do. He left Oregon to go to Taiwan October the 18th and stayed there October 18th to 25th, where Taiwan and the head of the World Anti-Communist League and the Kuomintang and the son of Chiang Kai-shek have a very big part in the drugs that these people had in India and were trafficking and in South America and come to the United States. And coincidentally, then he went from Taiwan October 25th to November the 1st to no other place but Damascus, Syria, which plays such a big role in the Bolivian trial now. Romeo Tumo, Tommaso Busetti, they're from Syria, the drug connections to Syria, the drug running that Salenk was involved with, all coincidental, incidentally. But the time the Bhagwan was going to be picked up and Sheila picked up and the drug arrest in Vancouver, the governor of Oregon says, oh, I happened to be away. I was a week in Taiwan and a week in Syria. And if you've listened to me long enough, you know that there are very few coincidences. And I just put it on the back burner and watch it cook a while, and it cooks. In the Oregonian, a year and a half ago, February 84, there was a story about the police department in Portland, Oregon. And I had on the air a woman named Annette Jollin, Jollin, and her father, Manfred Schreiber, was visiting her. And she is studying with the chief of police in Oregon, in Portland. And Manfred was the chief of police in Munich, Germany, when the terrorist activity, according to the Oregonian, disrupted the summer games in Munich, Germany. They don't say when 7 Israeli athletes were murdered. They said the game was disrupted. That's a way of letting history erase the fact of who was killed at that game. But her father was in charge of security at Munich, and she's in Portland, Oregon, as the first chairwoman of the Portland Police Internal Investigation Committee. And her daddy is now police chief in Bonn, Germany, and the Bhagwan and Sheila and Rajneesh have a large group in Bonn, Germany. I'm sure it's just coincidental. They don't know each other at all. But Mr. Schreiber was visiting her in Oregon, and his daughter has a big part in the Oregon police. And when the Bhagwan's money goes, it's a lot of it comes from Germany and goes to Germany. Now, another newspaper article this week, October 25th, says Bhagwan and the Green Party tied to drug running. And it mentions this fellow that was arrested, Mr. Black, in Vancouver, as I say, when they split, and he's now in Seattle. He's a fugitive in this conspiracy of drugs and guns and currency leaving. He spent many years, the last 3 years at Antelope Valley, in and out, with his operations. In 1983, Petra Kelly of the Green Party from Germany and Rudolf Barrow and Gerd Bastian were at the compound with the Rajneesh, and they also linked up with the Sufi cult, including the Ananda Marga. Now, I'll do more on Ananda Marga. That is the Nazi group that came out of India, and Bhagwan has been linked to those Nazis in India before he left the ashram there and came to Oregon, and has been linked to a lot of interconnecting areas that overlap, but several articles have put him directly with Nazis from Germany. And so it's interesting that a big hunk of his funds, just as the Jonestown funds, come from Germany at the present time. Now, this Petra Kelly's been very controversial. Her presence in Israel was the cause of a lot of riots, accusing of her relationship with Nazis, and a member of the Green Party who founded it was part of the Nazis during Hitler's time. And also, I have an article that she was staying at a convent in Germany when Joseph Mengele was there. He had stayed there as a safe house while he attended the funeral of his father, and then went back down to Sao Paulo, Brazil. but it's interesting the connection of the Green Party to the drug dealer who was arrested just at the time that these two broke up. He was running out of the country. The Bhagwan and Sheila went to Germany. Another story about the Rajneesh in the papers this week, about the charges for murder, attempted murder. There are 9 people that they were going to kill. But the story runs, and this is another typical story, Bhagwan, Rajneesh's former secretary, and 3 associates used false identification to buy guns in Texas for the assassination plot to kill 9 people in Oregon. They go to New York City with a false ID. They go to Texas to pick up these secure weapons that can't be traced. John Hinckley went to Texas to get the gun when he shot Ronald Reagan. Mark David Chapman got to Texas to get a gun when he shot John Lennon. And the Rajneesh go to Texas, don't know if it's the same gun shop, but they had special identification from New York City to Texas, bought guns, 5 pistols, and they were setting up safe houses in Oregon and also around the world where the assassins would stay after they had shot these people in Oregon. Several of them were prosecutors against the Rajneesh when they moved there. One gentleman, a Mr. Turner, Charles Turner, U.S. attorney, was to be killed. They planned that 3 or 4 women would kill him in a scheme. They would stage a car breakdown. He had a road that went from the city hall to a country road. They would stake that out and shoot him and use the women. They have rifle practice there. That were the best shots. And then another person to be killed was Leslie Zaitz, 30 years old, a reporter, part of a 4-person team who spent 13 months writing that series of articles in the Oregonian that I said were so brilliant, called For Love or Money. And if the plan succeeded, the women would use international network of Rajneesh communes to hide their killers, all set up. And the primary assassin, as I say, would be a woman, but they didn't plan to kill everybody by shooting them. Some were going to be poisoned, and it tells how they would do it, and also poisons on salad bars to cause salmonella and other poisons. So they have the technology to put people in safe houses. They have the training for the shooting. And this is more than just a religious cult and always has been. And just as Jonestown had assassins that fled, killed various people that wouldn't suicide, take it themselves, and so forth. The story how the Rajneesh was foiled in flight, that's what it's called, from the San Jose Mercury. And interestingly enough, one of the tip-offs, when he called to get an airplane, he charged it to his American Express card for $12,000 and then needed the American Express from New Jersey to get another clearance. And all the while, the United States government had been flying over their place and staking them out for a long time. And the sudden departure without the cash right on hand, he had $54,000 in cash, but he needed to put something on his credit card to get the plane and use the American Express. He doesn't leave home without it. And I might have mentioned on a program that Rolf Mengele used the American Express card when he went down to visit his daddy in Sao Paulo, Brazil. And on the board of American Express are Gerald Ford from the Warren Commission, who concealed the murders of John Kennedy, and Henry Kissinger. And maybe these agents have a special number they use that they can get through with their American Express card. I'll be doing more on the Bhagwan, the wiretapping, and so forth, but I just want to update some more articles pertaining to
they don't mind it because they've decided to do it. They're not just a free ride, a round-trip ticket, supposedly. So I find, like I said, the last 2 days of buses, that people have been quite different than they were before. And like I said, I got here, and they said I figured that they were going to tell me about the religion, tell me about this, and no one would tell me anything. I had to go around asking about it, and then I wanted
tracking you.
Yeah. So I wanted to find out who this guy was, Bhagwan, So I got to listen to him. It's not really a religion. It's just with his mouth. He says something. Every time he opened his mouth before, he stopped talking. I guess, and I heard that the reason he stopped talking, he said it all. And if you read some of his stuff, every time he said something, of course he's had a lot of jokes, but every time he said something. It wasn't. And I've read his books. You can go in. There's many books that he's written. And
tell me how you came to begin to register people that became the registrar out here.
Well, the way I did that, I was told that at the last year press conference that you had over here, that this Forbush. Now I don't know this for a fact because I've read the articles from him, And reading the articles from what he says, I do not see him saying that at any time. But it's like the newspapers are. They're all hearsay. But then when his quotations, I look for those things. And in the quotations, only thing, street people, and he doesn't say anything in these different places. It's all hearsay. Like I told the people that call me from UPI, I would like to meet the man. But if a person tells me that I can't vote, I'm going to see, and the people don't like that. I mean, you're an American citizen, and if somebody tells you can't vote, I have people that I talk to, that's never voted before, and when I tell them that, all I want you to do is register. Now, this gives you the opportunity to vote if you've been here 20 days. It gives you the opportunity to vote. Now, you don't have to vote, and I'm not telling you who to vote for. You'll go in a booth just like they do all over the country, and there'll be, you can either vote whatever, Republican, Democrat, or Independent. That's what it says on the card. Well, when I went around first, I went and talked to approximately 60 people, and out of the 60 people, I had 53 that wanted to register, okay, after I told them what was going on. And I realized that when I went up to KD, which is the mayor here, he was the one that I know that would, as a mayor, he would know about politics. So I asked him about the registration. He said, well, it would help me. He could get somebody to type them out and do it the right way. So the next thing I know, there was some people set up in Hussein.
So you went to him rather than him coming to you?
Yes, I went to him.
Were there other registrars around before?
No, there wasn't.
Yeah, so you're registering predominantly street people, as they're called or referred to here?
Well, yes, but I have, what I'm doing is sending the people to where to be registered now. Before I was trying to do it myself, which I filled out one card for a guy 4 different times because I did it the wrong way. But they know the right way to do it. If they move from one section to another, you have to register where you're staying. In other words, if they go from like Walt Whitman to Corone Grove, they have to change. They have
so you're sort of recruiting them and then sending them down?
Yes, sending them down. I'm not recruiting them as per se. I'm telling them that they have the right to do it and where they can have it done if they want to register. And like I said, they're under no obligation to vote whatsoever. They can register immediately on the day they arrive. I don't talk to people as a rule when I'm working at registration. When they first come in, I wait till I see them later, and I'll say, have you registered to vote? And like I said, I tell them the facts that you don't have to vote, but you can't vote if you're not registered.
So it was Wayne Fawbush predominantly that got you so angry in the first place that you decided?
Yes, well, the articles I was reading in the Oregonian and all these, that it was hearsay, but like I said, I cannot say that the man has said anything derogatory that I've read. Now, I've heard people say that he said it, which is not under quotation, but anything he said, like I said, like I told him, I'd like to meet him and talk with him because he never can tell. I might be a person here that will get him votes if he says the right thing. But I think if he came here and live, which I'm sure he's not going to do, but if he lived with these people, he'll find that they're not interested in changing the world. All they want to do, they didn't ask me to become a sannyasi. I asked, I want to know how I qualified. And how to qualify once that I had read Bhagwan's teachings. And I think that if the people in the country or the world would read his teachings, it's nothing to do with the religion, it's just being yourself and no stealing, no violence whatsoever, no drugs. And when I heard that this Jerry Reed left here, Jerry told me before he left here, he wanted to stay here, he wanted to be a writer here. And like he was on the news, I saw him, and he told me exactly what he was going to say before he left here. He said if he didn't get to write for the newspaper here, that he was going to really give them shit, And the next 3 days later, I see him on the news, and he was stuttering like hell here, and now he's not stuttering out there at all. He was on your other station.
Oh, yeah. All right, Kevin, let's see. What do you find? Are you registering for Did everybody registering Republican again?
No, it's unreal that...
Well, they had a big block of them down in where was it? Antelope for a while.
Antelope, that's the city of Rajneesh now. Point. I like the way the news do things. It started out in the morning that all they did was people was asked to leave, and the buses came and got them. By the 11 o'clock news, it was hilarious. They said they were held at gunpoint.
Well, it's all in perspective. If you've got police standing around you, they've got guns. You're at gunpoint. It's no different. Police force is a police force, regardless of where you go. Really, what you've got there is somebody with a gun or standing around you. A gunfight? No,
Well, I think that. Don't you think that would shock them? I mean, if I was an Oregonian and I lived out here and I'll reverse the situation. Okay? And I was out there, and I saw the news clipping, and it said the men will live there. But you understand what I'm saying? Like I would be upset if I was, like I said, the media. Not I'm saying to him that you say something wrong, but what they do is that I guess it's to get people to listen, And if you listen, and some of these people, I mean,
well, you figure you're getting an awful lot of unstable people anyway, considering where you draw them from, and when you take the most unstable.
Anybody that we bring here, I believe this now. This is my own opinion. That's not me getting with Rajneesh, but I believe that we should bring people here unless we do send them back where they came from, because.
A Coke.
Right. I don't drink Coke.
Oh, okay.
Needs to be a cappuccino.
All the fruit juice you can.
Cappuccino, you're pretty buzzed on that. Jesus. Ready? Ready?
We're rolling.
Back there in the cafeteria is where the potential voters are registered. We weren't allowed to take any pictures back there. A spokesman for the Rajneesh says there's nothing at all sinister about it. It's just that the people who live here are tired of living in a punch bowl. They're tired of having everything they do photographed.
Good. Let's do it again for posterity.
I can't do it twice, Kevin. It just comes to me once.
Okay, do it again anyway.
All right. Back there in the cafeteria is where the potential voters are being registered. We weren't allowed to go. Nah. See, I screw up after that. Try it again. Back there in the cafeteria is where the potential voters are being registered. I forgot what I was going to say. Back there in the cafeteria is where the potential voters are being registered. We weren't allowed to go back there to take any pictures. There's nothing sinister about it, a spokesman for the Rajneesh says. It's just that the people who live here are tired of being photographed. Damn it, I didn't mean to say that. Try the other one.
That's all right, we're still rolling.
The first one was the best.
Back there in the cafeteria is where the potential... God, I'm going to lose it.
Just one more.
Okay.
And then...
Back there in the cafeteria is where the potential voters are being registered. Okay. Back there in the cafeteria is where the potential voters are being registered. We weren't allowed to go back there to take any photographs, though. A spokesman for the Rajneesh says there's nothing, nothing what?
Okay.
Sinister. Nothing conspiratorial about it. Okay.
No, sinister. It's easier.
There's fewer.
Still rolling.
Okay. Back there in the cafeteria is where the potential voters are being registered. We weren't allowed to go back there to take any pictures, though. A spokesman for the Rajneesh says there's nothing Damn it. Back there in the cafeteria is where the potential voters are being registered. We weren't allowed to go back there to take any pictures, though. A spokesman for the Rajneesh says there's nothing God damn, I cannot say it. Okay. The potential voters are being registered over there at the cafeteria, but we weren't allowed to take any pictures of them. A spokesman for the Rajneesh says there's nothing conspiratorial about that. It's just that people here are tired of living in a fishbowl, tired of having everything they do photographed.
That one was
People are retarded.